Every angler starts somewhere. This is the 10 levels of fishing, ranked from the dock to the deep blue. And where you land says everything about your journey so far. Level 1, the first cast. This is bluegill and sunfish territory. A farm pond, a bobber, a worm on a hook, and more patience than skill. There's no finesse here, no fancy gear. You drop a line off a dock or a grassy bank, watch that red and white bobber twitch, and reel in something small, spiky finned, and thrilled to be caught. It sounds simple because it is, and that's exactly the point. This is where every single angler on this list began, including the pros reeling in giants later on. The first tug on the line, the first fish flopping in a bucket, the first sunburn from staying out too long. Master level 1, and you've already got the 2 things that matter most. You know how to wait, and you know how good it feels when the wait pays off. Time to wade in deeper. Level 2, bank basics. Welcome to largemouth bass country. This is where casual fishing turns into a hobby. You've traded the bobber for a spinning reel and the worm for a soft plastic lure you actually have to work. Largemouth bass hide in the shallows, tucked under docks, lily pads, and sunken logs. And they don't just bite, they ambush. You're learning to read water now, where the shade falls, where the baitfish school, where a 5-pound bass might be sitting and waiting. Your cast is getting cleaner. You can flip a lure under a dock without snagging it in the wood, most of the time. This is the level where fishing stops being something you do on vacation and starts being something you think about during the week. Level 3. River runner. Smallmouth bass live in moving water, and moving water changes everything. You're not casting into a still pond anymore. You're reading current seams, eddies behind boulders, and the exact pocket of slack water where a smallmouth is holding, saving its energy, waiting to strike. Crankbaits and jigs replace simple plastics, bounced along a rocky riverbed you can't even see. Pound for pound, smallmouth bass fight harder than almost anything in fresh water. They don't just bite, they explode, cartwheeling out of the water the second the hook sets. Wading a river takes balance, timing, and a healthy respect for a strong current. Anglers who reach this level aren't fishing for a snack anymore. They're fishing for the fight. Level 4, Mountain Finesse. This is trout water. Cold, clear, high-elevation streams where rainbow trout hold in the current and the fish can see you coming from a mile away. This is where fly fishing enters the picture. No more hurling a lure and hoping. Now you're matching the hatch, tying on a fly the size of a fingernail that mimics whatever insect is actually on the water that day. Your presentation has to be delicate. A trout will refuse a fly that lands too hard or drags unnaturally across the surface. This level rewards patience and precision over power. You're not muscling anything. You're finessing a wild animal into believing a hook and some feathers is lunch. Get it right, and a rainbow trout leaping out of a mountain stream is one of the most beautiful sights in the sport. Level 5, Structure Hunter. Walleye don't make it easy. These fish suspend over drop-offs, humps, and rock piles in deep, often murky water, and you can't see any of it from the surface. This is where electronics come in. A sonar unit that shows you the bottom contour and the fish themselves as blips on a screen. You're marking structure, jigging live bait or blade baits right on top of schools you can't see with your own eyes, often at dawn, dusk, or after dark when walleye move up shallow to feed. This level is about technology and technique working together, reading a screen as fluently as you read water. Walleye also happen to be some of the best eating freshwater fish around, so this is where a lot of anglers start fishing for the dinner table as much as the thrill. Level 6, 10,000 casts. That's the nickname muskellunge earned, and it's not an exaggeration. Muskies are ambush predators the size of a golf bag, and they are notoriously, maddeningly difficult to catch. You're throwing lures the size of a small dog for hours, for days, sometimes for an entire season without a single strike. This level is a test of pure mental endurance. But when a muskie does hit, usually right at the boat, on the last cast of the day, when you've completely let your guard down, it's explosive enough to make your hands shake. Anglers chasing muskies aren't in it for volume. They're in it for one perfect, heart-stopping encounter with one of freshwater's biggest predators. If you've landed a muskie, you've officially entered obsessive territory, and there's no going back. Level 7, Flats Rookie. This is the jump from freshwater to saltwater, and it changes the entire game. On the shallow flats, you're sight fishing for redfish and speckled trout, standing on a poling skiff, scanning skinny water for a tailing fish, a wake, a shadow that doesn't quite match the sand. You cast ahead of a moving fish, not at it, and you strip your line with a rhythm that makes a lure look alive. The margin for error is tiny. One bad cast and a spooked red bolts, taking every other fish on the flat with it. This level demands sharp eyes, quiet feet, and a completely different kind of focus. Saltwater doesn't forgive sloppy fishing, but it rewards precision with some of the most exciting visual strikes in the entire sport. Level 8, Silver King. Tarpon can grow past 6 feet and over 100 pounds, and hooking one feels like snagging a passing truck. These fish roll and gulp air at the surface near bridges, inlets, and channels. And when a big tarpon eats a fly or a live bait, it doesn't just run. It launches itself entirely out of the water in a shaking, silver-sided leap that can throw the hook in an instant. Landing one can take an hour or more of pure arm-burning battle, heavy tackle straining the whole time. This level is about brute endurance as much as skill. Guides call tarpon the Silver King for a reason. Hook one, and you'll understand immediately why anglers chase this fish for a lifetime. Level 9, Blue Water. Now you're miles offshore, out where the water turns a deep, impossible blue, and the bottom is thousands of feet down. This is trolling a spread of lures behind a real sport fishing boat, watching for diving birds and color changes that mark bait balls, and hoping a school of yellowfin tuna or mahi-mahi lights up the spread all at once. When they do, it's chaos. Multiple rods bending at the same moment, reels screaming, the whole crew scrambling. Tuna fight with raw speed and stamina, peeling off hundreds of yards of line in seconds. This level requires a boat, a crew, real budget, and real commitment. You've moved from fishing as a hobby to fishing as an expedition. Level 10, Apex Predator. This is the top of the list. Giant bluefin tuna and blue marlin, fish that can outweigh a small car and fight for hours against anglers strapped into a fighting chair, harness locked in, every muscle in their back and arms engaged the entire time. A big blue marlin doesn't just pull, it tail walks across the surface, throwing spray 20 feet in the air before diving hundreds of feet straight down. Landing one of these fish is as much an athletic feat as it is a fishing accomplishment. Some battles have taken anglers past the point of exhaustion, hours into a single fight. Very few people ever reach this level, and fewer still land the fish once they get the chance. This is the legend at the top of every angler's list, the reason so many people picked up a rod at a farm pond years ago and never really stopped. 10 levels, one dock to the deep blue. Wherever you're casting today, tight lines.